it goes to show you that the newer form of stand-up doesn't always have to have the old traditional premise setup punchline joke kind of thing.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
Like, let's look at, here's a, check out this. Here's Tom Papa. He's doing a bit where he's talking about becoming a husband and a father, and he misinterprets it as a horrible business decision. So he takes a positive and turns it into a negative. He overstates the obvious. He does a simile, a cut forward to, a recognition laugh, and funny specifics. So look at the emotion that he gives us right off the bat.
Made a horrible business decision.
Right there. So he's regret. His emotion is I fucked up. He doesn't say I fucked up. He says I made a horrible business decision, and so that's a misdirection. I made a horrible business decision. Oh, what did you do? Did you sell a car that's more valuable than what you got for it? Did you sell a house? Did you? No.
Made a horrible business decision. Got married and had 2 children. Horrible idea.
Right. So even so, it's not getting a big laugh, but it's getting some laugh. This is his premise, which is I'm reinterpreting marriage and fatherhood as a horrible business idea.
I love them, but they just grow and get bigger and need more money. More money. At this point, it's like I'm living.
So there's no real laugh yet at this point. He's gotten some laughs with his, this is kind of a premise. And in his premise, he does the positive to negative and he overstates the obvious, but he doesn't really get a real laugh until he turns it into a simile.
At this point, it's like I'm living with 2 unemployed coke addicts.
There it is. There's a simile. At this point, it's like I'm living with 2 unemployed coke addicts. So now he can combine the world of coke addicts with being a dad and raising kids. So that's a frog bank.
Bank, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, they come into my office every morning. Hey, you got more money for me?
So he's doing it he's scratching his neck and he's holding his hand out like a coke addict would. But this is a teenage kid.
What happened to the change from yesterday? I don't know. The economy, right?
So it's a quick and easy game to play. And his emotion, how frustrated is he with his kids being a dad in charge of it? It's like I'm in charge of a bunch of cokeheads. That's how frustrated I am. It's like I'm raising cokeheads who need a bunch of money. So he's truly heightening that. That's the emotion that he's heightening. And it's clear he states it in the beginning. He misdirects us to think that he's talking about business, but he's really talking about his home. And then he's heightening how bad of a business decision am I making here? It's like I'm raising cokeheads, you know.
Well, how many was that? 20 seconds? That was packed, right? I mean, four heightening devices packed into one.
Yeah. And that's the way these pros do it, man. They combine these heightening devices and they heighten their emotion, and they do it all in one big package and one big, it's like a game that they're doing, and they know how to play this game. I don't think a lot of them consciously do it like we're talking about. They're not breaking it down like we are. Like Tom Papa isn't going, well, I'm going to explore my emotion, and then I'm going to heighten it, and then I'm going to use that heightening device in order to, like, he's just coming up with the tools and techniques that he's learned over the years in order to make his point. And his bit, he might have thought to himself, Jesus Christ, this is a bad business decision. Oh, that's funny. I'm going to treat this like a business decision. And then he just
the game.
Yeah, he can frog bank it. And then he just let his professional comic skills put together the bit for himself. So we have the benefit of like looking back at it.
If you were translating that to a writing technique or an hour-long writing, homework for a comic, could you just say, like, take the interactions you're thinking about in your day, and then slap a simile there, and then try to do an act out or a cut to or a unlikely scenario and see where you get.
Well, I would say go through your day and figure out which moments have caused you a strong emotion.
Okay.
So you got like say which things today piss me off. And this is what's a great gift about stand up is now during the day, typically the things during the if I have a list of things that piss me off, it's just a reason to be mad at the end of the day. Is I got this is how many things bad things happen to me. But as a stand up, if I've got five bad things that happen to me, that's five new bits I can write because I have five topics that have a really strong emotion attached to them, which turns them into a premise. So that's how I look at it. So if something bad happens, I got stuck in traffic today and I was pissed because I was running late. All right, well, let's use, I mean, traffic bits are kind of lame, but you can use that moment to create a heighten of that frustration and you could problem solve that. How would you solve the problem of traffic? I would I'd invent flying vehicles. It's just the way we're heading. But that's how frustrated I was today. I was so frustrated with traffic that I'm ready to compare it to other frustrating things, or I'm ready to solve the problem. I'm ready to look at it from different perspectives. Look at it from the perspective of the guy driving behind me or the guy driving in front of me. Jesus Christ, who is this idiot behind me that wants to get in front of me but is going to go nowhere? Yeah, that's how I would do it. Is if I had a hour, I would write down all the things that gave me strong emotions and begin to look at those as premises and see, well, how can I have fun with these emotions? Okay, this thing embarrassed me. Okay, how can I have fun with the fact that I was embarrassed at that? This one pissed me off. Okay, well, how can I emphasize how bad something pissed me off? Because it probably pisses other people off too, and they don't know how to handle that pissed offness. So I'll show them a funny way to handle it. That's our job.
It's kind of like improv skills too, right? Like that's what your skills of improv is like to find the frog bank and the
Yeah.
transformation, like you were kind of emphasizing last episode.
Yeah, to be able to jump into that quickly is a lot of improv. You're yes anding, you're heightening, you're playing a game, you're heightening a game that was been presented to you. What if these two worlds came together? And then you give examples of that world, those worlds coming together, you know. So Tom Papa could go with this bit, he could have a boardroom meeting and it could be with him and his wife with the two kids, and he could do the whole, like my I had made a bad business decision. So how do you hold a board meeting where you've made a bad business decision? I'm gonna have to let some of you go, but he could take that forever. He could do a lot of other ways to heighten how bad of a decision he's made and which is overstating the obvious. No shit, it's a bad decision you're going to lose money raising a family compared to living on your own. That's the whole rub. That's overstating the obvious. It's like, oh, no kidding. You mean four people instead of one is more expensive? No shit. You
And
just
only if one of
discovered
them
that?
works.
Yeah. But I like that cutting to that emotion. Here's another one. Let's see this is Mike Kaplan or MYQ. I don't know if that's Mike or Mick.
I lost my cell phone though, and that is nerve-wracking. You ever lost a cell phone?
Okay, I lost my cell phone is a topic, and that is nerve-wracking. Now it's a premise. How nerve-wracking is it?
Losing a child.
It's like losing a child. What is that?
Emily?
Simile. So far he's
Yeah,
used a
in like
simile.
8 words. 8 words he's done. Yeah, he's took topic, premise, and added a simile.
And
And
but
that's probably gonna set
has
up
he
a
gotten a laugh yet? No. Oh, there it is. That's the laugh. He gets the first laugh by using a simile. So again, he uses a heightening device and he gets a laugh, but not a big laugh. But he's got to play this. He's got to heighten it even more,
Or not exactly.
or not exactly. So that's a bait and switch. It's like this, not exactly. So he gets another laugh.
Like losing a child who had memorized all the names and numbers of all your friends and family. It's like losing an autistic child. And
So that's funny, right? Now he's being more specific and he's overstating the obvious, and he's using recognition. we all recognize that, oh my God, your phone is like an autistic child you've lost, not a regular child, but a child that knows all your numbers and knows all your information.
He almost violates the norm there too. Like there's a misdirection because he's like, it's not when he says it's not like that, you're thinking it's going the other way, and he
Yeah.
goes the opposite way. He goes, it's even
No,
more like
it's more
that.
like a real sensitive type of child. Yeah. But he's basically,
I lost my cell phone though, and that is nerve-wracking.
he's heightening how nerve-wracking it is, right? It's so how nerve-wracking it is. It feels like I lost my autistic child. That's how nerve-wracking it is. And that's the key to the comedy is you have to begin to identify your emotion and you have to heighten it and find tricky and fun and clever ways to heighten that emotion and silly ways that where it makes sense. And it like, well, let's what's his misdirection? Let's see what his misdirection is.
You ever lost a cell phone? It's like losing a child.
So the misdirection is losing a cell phone is like losing a child, and then the misdirection is
Or not exactly.
not exactly.
It's not exactly. So you're thinking he's going to correct his
Yeah,
simile.
he's gonna say to I get it, parents. Losing a child is way more valuable. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to be so. So that's his misdirection. But he's got a misdirection in there, and then he
It's like losing a child who had memorized all the names and numbers of all your friends and family. Right?
overstating the obvious, funny specifics,
It's like losing an autistic child.
and that's a reinterpretation. He's done this and this. You know what that means? He's that. So he's done this and this. So he's autistic. But it's
I
not
mean, the
really.
clever move, you're right. The clever move is the setup that gets you leaning the other way, saying,
Yeah,
I'm gonna correct that. Actually, that's offensive for parents who lost childs.
yeah, and
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 then,
that's a joke. That's the stand-up part of it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's because that's what comedy is. It's a misdirection, and in combination with the heightening of your emotions, and in combination with a surprise. You know,
that's just like a couple extra words added to the bit that makes
yeah,
the jab left right before you go right on basketball terms, or
yeah. But it's important, and if it's not there, you're just doing improv or you're doing sketch. Stand-up has that misdirection, and that's what I learned over time was a lot of my material was missing that misdirection. I was going straight into the act out. And I think
before
that's
you're,
why some comics would resent my material as they looked at it like a shortcut.
uh-huh.
And I don't blame them. I get that. I've did my best to correct that and do a better job of it and to write books that teach something different than what I was doing, but still guilty, like that a lot of improvisers that try stand up are guilty of that. We set up the game and play the game. We don't do a stand up misdirection uh, from a setup and punch. That's why a lot of people struggle from improv to stand up is because they don't get that they're two different things you're doing. You can combine the two, but if you're going to be doing stand up, you have to have a joke. You have to have a premise, setup, misdirection, punchline with heightens.
It just feels like cheap if like you're at stand up and like someone says like, "What if Walter White was in the Civil War?"
Yeah.
But like the comic will go back and have like a joke along the line that sets up the reason why
Right.
he's suddenly frog banking Walter White in the.
It'll be a simile that describes cleverly something that he's also dealing with in his life. My girlfriend saying that is like having Walter White in the Civil War. And then
And then
and
you
then
feel
it
like
gives him
you're
permission.
authentically there.
Yeah, and then now you're
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Exactly. Um, and that's the thing about comedy is an exaggeration and taking the piss out of something or someone. So you have to accept the fact that that's true, that you are going to be doing that. But the key is I'm taking a piss out of something in order to heighten my emotion. I was embarrassed. I was angry. I was frustrated. That thing is weird to me. That thing is shocking to me. Whatever your emotion is, whatever your reaction to that thing is. And I think that's a pretty common request from people who write books about stand-up comedy, which is to have a strong emotion about the thing you're talking about. I don't think that's something I'm inventing. or discovering on my own. I think that's something that I'm just basically teaching that I believe that I've been taught and making it more clear. Like, let's go. Here's this one. I worked with my one of my classmates or my classmates. I went over. This is a guy named Fahim Anwar. I'm really digging this guy. This guy writes bits so concisely. Like he comes up with a clever take on these topics. This one right here, he doesn't overstate the obvious. Irony, sarcasm, recognition, cut forward to, different perspective, impersonation, anthropomorphizing, exaggeration, and funny specifics. So that's 10 heightening devices he uses in combination. So let's take a look at how he does it.
I'm guessing it's not going to be 10-minute bit. It's going to be tight.
No, it's quick. It's
Jam
quick.
all those in. Oh, that looks like Denver. Comedy works in Denver.
I think it is.
Terrorists, they won't eat pork, they won't have premarital sex, they won't have alcohol, but then they'll like blow up a bus.
Okay, so that is a kind of a form of a triplet. They won't do this, they won't do this, they won't do this, but then they'll do that. So there's a sort of a formula to that going on. He's presenting what they won't do, then what they will do, but there's some irony to it, or some I won't eat meat, but I'll blow meat up kind of irony. But he is implying an emotion there.
Terrorists, they won't eat pork, they won't have premarital sex, they won't have alcohol, but then they'll like blow up a bus.
So what's the emotion? It's the hypocrisy of that is
Surprise.
like it pisses him off. It bothers him. It made him notice. That's hypocritical. That's bullshit. So I don't know what that emotion is, but it's subtle and he's laughing about it, but I think that's what the emotion is, and that's why he's bringing it up.
It's interesting, you know.
Interesting. So that's sarcasm. That's interesting, you know. No shit,
Yeah.
right?
Loophole.
Oh, so now he reinterprets it as a loophole. So that's kind of funny to call it a loophole.
It's interesting, you know. Loophole.
There's a pause. He gets an lecture.
That's that's kind of overstating the obvious. You know, the fact that he's doing this as a loophole, it's kind of like, oh yeah, no shit. But it's kind of not obvious, so I don't know if it's really like that's clever that he calls it a loophole. Like that's a clever way to reinterpret. It's this and this, so it's a loophole.
Like I don't know how you finesse that logic, right? Well,
So now that's the setup of his act out. I don't know how you finesse that logic. So cut forward to God judging you on the final day.
There's some like intrigue there too, right? Because he said like I'm leaning in and I'm like waiting for him to prove that statement now.
Right.
yeah, why did you murder all these people? And he's like, I never had pepperoni. He's like, thank you for that. Thank you for doing that, but I kind of care more about the civilians you killed. He's like, oh, I thought you cared more about the pepperoni stuff.
Right. So there's some irony to that. The irony that we all know that civilians are more important than pepperoni, but this guy didn't. But I said there's overstating the obvious. Here's how the jihadists think: vegan yet still exploding. Irony: I won't kill animals, but I will kill people. Sarcasm: calling out the discrepancies as a loophole. Recognition: most of us recognize the jihadist loophole he points out, like just from watching the news and stuff, and so we're on board with it. Cut forward to God judging a jihad soul. A different perspective: God's perspective. An impersonation: you're doing God's voice and the jihadist's voice. Anthropomorphizing: you're giving God a voice, so that you could technically say, like, typically we don't hear God talk, but you're giving God a voice, so you're anthropomorphizing him. An exaggeration: what happens to us when we die? It's a sit down with God, and he's calling us on our shit. Funny specifics: loophole and pepperoni. You know, those using those words. So that one is
Right.
a little
He could have said pork and it wouldn't have been as funny. But that extra
pepperoni,
sprinkle of
right?
pepperoni.
Yeah, exactly. And loophole is funny because it's a clever way to define what's happening. Yeah, so his whole thing is I noticed this discrepancy in how they're handling their bullshit, and I don't like it. I'm calling them on their bullshit. I'm gonna I'm going to heighten my frustration with it by pointing out how ridiculous it looks like as if God is fooled by their loophole. Again, how does this help you as a comic? Well, I can I can begin to watch a professional use these heightening devices, and it can open my brain up and go, oh, I didn't know that's how you use overstating the obvious. Oh, I didn't know that's how you do a contrast. Oh, I didn't know you could do I didn't know that that's how you could heighten an emotion by doing this so quickly. And you can begin to learn that way. That's one way you can learn by watching these things. You can't really, copy what they do. Like that's Fahim Anwar's bit, and it's his take, and it's his cleverness that he's doing that with. But you can certainly learn by watching him putt first and say, oh, this is how you can heighten that kind of an emotion. This is how you can exaggerate something or anthropomorphize something, or this is how you can quickly cut forward to and do the different perspective in a different voice with exaggeration.
I brought three along with me
Oh, okay,
today.
cool. Yeah, let's look at them.
I'm gonna get your read on this, but this is I think a good example of a cut. He's gonna do a cut forward to. He's gonna frog bank the idea that your girlfriend talking about her feelings and making you talk about your feelings is like a dirty cop. So there's gonna be some frog banking of dirty cop kind of scenario with your feelings. He's gonna use a bait and switch, and he's gonna use simile in about a minute.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so I was at the show. That's why I pulled this
Are you
because
at the
this
show?
is this is Ryan Long. Yeah, he's a New York guy. He's very much, it seems like he takes something that's like kind of like in the news, and then he normally quickly jumps to like let's apply this premise in another scenario, I
Oh, I
think is
like
a
that.
lot of his.
A lot of that's just like a simile.
And then sometimes girls try to pull the feelings out of you. You know, you ever had your girl psychoanalyze you where they'll be like, your friend didn't show up at your event. Did that hurt your feelings? They're like, what the fuck? I don't care. Chris can do whatever he wants. He's now a grown man, you know? And then she's like, it just seems like something a friend wouldn't do, you know? And then before you know it, you're like, you know what? Yeah, fuck Chris. Like,
Okay, so what's that? What's he doing there?
It's like a cut to, right? He keeps on cutting to, and then he's like heightening the he uses funny specifics.
Yeah, so we have to go back to what's his emotion.
and then sometimes girls try to pull the feelings out of you, you know? You ever had your girl psychoanalyze you where they'll be like,
It's like frustrating when his
So
girlfriend tries to.
yeah, like he's not saying this frustrates me, but his voice is telling us that it's frustrating to him. So how frustrating is it to have your girlfriend psychoanalyze you? So it's taking a maybe a positive and turning it into a negative. Or she's really trying to take in a negative and turning it into a positive. You got blown off, but let's learn from it in a way. But there's sort of some sarcasm to it. So yeah, so this is a cut forward to. He immediately cuts forward to it. So he doesn't really do a joke. There's
out of you, you know? You ever had your girl psychoanalyze you where they'll be like, your friend didn't show up at your event.
so he's saying, can you imagine Walter White in the Civil War?
So he does jump into this
Yeah.
unlikely scenario fast.
Yeah.
That's his kind of thing. He takes like a topic that's in the news and then feels like he jumps into the act out or the cut to.
And then she's like, it just seems like something a friend wouldn't do, you know? And then before you know it, you're like, you know what? Yeah, fuck Chris.
Doing an argument or a talk between him and his girlfriend back and forth. He's doing both voices. He's impersonating them, and he's playing the game of he's heightening how much am I being psychoanalyzed? How much is she
Okay.
reading into this
Not sure how much is she
I
reading
didn't
into
care.
it.
Like it's kind of a contrast. Men don't care. Women overread into it, and
Yeah.
so it's going to be like a contrast where the woman's convincing the man to care.
And then she's like, it just seems like something a friend wouldn't do, you know? And then before you know it, you're like, you know what? Yeah, fuck Chris. Doesn't support me, you know what I mean? Can't believe Chris would do that to me.
Yeah. So now it went from kind of a neutral to a negative. But kind of like she's convinced him that it's a positive to a negative or a negative to a positive. So for her it was a negative. Her like she took a moment in time that was a negative, and she tried to find the positive spin to it. And he was taking a moment that was no big deal to him, so it was basically a positive, and turning it into a negative, where he's like, "What the fuck?" It's there's also some reinterpretation there. There's this and this, you know what that means. So
Right. Okay.
he's kind of figuring that out. It's
But
tricky.
it doesn't have the misdirection though, as much
No,
of a stand up as much as it, right. He's getting laughs from all his act outs.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you might get a traditional comic might not like this guy because he's not doing jokes, but he's getting laughs.
That's why I wanted to bring this one because I couldn't put my finger on his moves. And it's because he's really good at the act out and getting laughs with the act out, but he's
Yeah,
not quite the misdirection earlier. Okay, keep
exactly.
going. He does use a simile here, and this is the frog bank.
And then they think they're right. They're like, aren't you happy you had those feelings inside and you got them out? You're like, I don't think they were in here. I think you put them here. I think you planted them like a dirty cop. Planting evidence in my body.
Simile. Yep.
Yep. And now he's gonna go jump the act out.
Coming in just like, I think we found a bag of resentment. You're like, that was not there. You put that there. You put that there. Against my will.
Yeah, that's immediately an act out of the simile, and
Yep.
it's a frog bank, which is discovery of evidence, and then the evidence is resentment.
Resentment instead
So
of
that's
Coke or
okay.
whatever.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, so
yeah. So that's interesting. And that's not to say that there's anything bad about how he does his thing, but it goes to show you that the newer form of stand up doesn't always have to have the old traditional premise setup punchline joke kind of thing. It's a lot about personality. It's a lot about selling the emotion and heightening the emotion.
mhm.
And we have found new ways to do that. But if you wanted to be a stickler, you could say, well, this guy is not doing stand up. He's doing improv slash sketch really well. Now, I haven't watched his whole set, so he might have other stand up in there that makes him into a stand up, because he does do that joke writing. Or he could do all this type of format, which is might just be his delivery style.
I think that's his delivery style. I guess I would peg it as like he walks the line of like current events that are like, can divide the room, and then he
Right,
quickly launches into like a scenario that gets all the laughs. But I mean,
right.
the show is hot. The show is packed. He did an awesome hour,
Yeah.
but I couldn't quite put my finger on how to replicate what he was doing.
I think
And I
that's
think
how,
as
yeah. Yeah. And again, he's a young guy, so he's doing a younger version or form of stand up and using his improv and acting skills. And a guy like this will be able to use his act to audition for Hollywood. He's showing off his acting skills. He's showing that he can do more than just be a stand-up writer. In fact, he's not really proving that he can be a stand-up writer. He's not writing stand-up jokes per se, but he's making people laugh by his heightening and his act outs. I like him. I think he's good. I think he's fun. He's somebody to watch.
he's one of my, yeah, I enjoy him. I want to show you this other one I'm sending you. It was to the comment you made last episode about how if there's a laugh behind it, you could probably trace the heightening humor device behind it. And it doesn't have to be
Right.
stand up. It could be sketch or it could be monologue, like we looked at Colbert. So I was like,
Right.
well, I'm gonna look at some SNL skits and
Okay.
see if we can find a humor tools used in. And so this is Drunk Uncle, a recurring
Yeah, I like
character.
Drunk Uncle. He's great.
But I thought it would be a fun one to analyze because you always talk about your unique persona as a comic makes it so much easier to people to get your game.
Yeah.
And so with Drunk Uncle, you already know his unique persona. He's kind of like the racist drunk,
Yeah.
hates the new culture, hates the young kids, woke, the change. So you already know his persona right away. So you saw like already like the second season of the sitcom, like you write in your book.
Yeah,
So I want,
and it's a frog bank. It's an automatic frog bank. It's whatever you're looking at plus Drunk Uncle. And so Drunk Uncle is the bank. So let's see what frogs he teams up with here.
Yeah, jump to start at 35. And when I identify, it's going to talk about
Well,
Halloween here.
let's.
Well, it's almost Halloween, and families around the country are getting ready for parties and trick-or-treating. Here with his thoughts is our own drunk uncle.
So that's important because that's part of the setup. Families, it's a serious setup. There's serious things, like it's a misdirection. Countries are getting ready for parties and trick or treating, and then here's the misdirection is, here's somebody who we think is going to help you do that and get better at it and do it in a professional and safe way, but instead it's drunk uncle.
Oh, the drunk uncle is the last
That's
syllable
kind
he
of a
says. You're
punchline.
right.
Yeah.
He didn't say I'm writing drunk uncle to talk about Halloween. He
No.
says there's a move where you're expecting an expert, and then you get
Right.
drunk uncle.
And that's a fun punchline. Just his visual.
Good
And like
point.
you said, it's like Kramer coming in the third season. We know already Drunk Uncles comes in. We're like, oh, I get drunk. I know who Drunk Uncle is. And if you don't know who Drunk Uncle is, the words Drunk Uncle tell you who it is. So you can figure it out pretty quickly, even if you've never seen the sketch before.
I didn't even notice that the setup there initially of Colin. It's Colin Yost. Colin Yost. Is
Yeah.
that right? But he even sets it up with stand up because he basically sets you up to expect the guest to be an expert.
Exactly.
And his last syllable that he says is drunk uncle.
That's the surprise.
This is Halloween! This is Halloween! 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 Marjorie Taylor Greene!
So he's wearing a witch's hat and he's got the big beard and he's drunk and he's spinning around. So those are just laughs that we laugh because it's Drunk Uncle, and it's just that's all bank. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene brings in another like a rhyme that it's part of the game he plays, which is bringing in real things like that he feels strongly about in his drunk way.
Happy Halloween, everybody! Oh, I'm sorry. You can't even say it's All Hallows Eve anymore. You gotta call it All Hallows Steve.
See, I thought that was the bait and switch there, right? Because
Right. Yeah, and he's doing wordplay. He's messing with the rhyme there. And he's doing recognition because we all know Adam and Steve instead of
Right.
Adam and Eve. So he's using recognition. Quick little joke. And as part of his character is again to boggle in his prejudices inside like other stuff. So he's combining frog banking the world, that song with Drunk Uncle.
I don't think you do. So, drunk uncle, are you say you're ready for Halloween?
Halloween is socialism, Colin. These kids today, they don't even work hard jobs no more. When I was a kid, we were shoe shines, chimney sweeps, extra paper boys.
Again, this is all funny specifics and recognition and overstating the obvious.
Nowadays, it's just, excuse me, can you Instacart me some mochi? What?
So again, all these funny specifics, and this is again, it's combination of it's a frog bank. It's regular things that people do, and then Drunk Uncle's interpretation of it. So it's messed up.
I'm sorry. Can you Minecraft my metaverse, please? No, you be real.
All right. Well, so I guess you're not excited for Halloween?
Tom was too good for Giselle.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So that's all I wanted to show you, that first minute.
So and then Tom was too good for Giselle, which he's talking about Tom Brady and his
Yeah, he always just like non sequiturs, right?
Right,
He just
yeah.
like shouts.
Yeah, so that's a real character piece. So you're talking about frog banking where you're saying here's the regular things and then here's the bank part of him, Drunk Uncle, coming in and adding his part to it.
He's a recurring character, so you already understand the game. So you're
Yeah.
already like waiting for like the game. He's on such better footing than when you walk into a stage with drunk strangers and they've never seen you before. But I guess
Exactly.
this really hits the point we keep on saying if you can find a way to cleverly introduce your persona,
But they do by
and
just
basically,
calling him drunk uncle. Like in the old days,
yeah,
they might not have called it drunk uncle. They might have said, "Here's Bill Franklin." But they just call the game out. That's the game. Let's go play the game, drunk uncle. So
how do
it's
you do it on stage? How do you do it on stage to introduce? You start with the Aspie hole stuff, right? You want to signal your your character early on, and your
you want to do intro jokes that give them a clear idea of how your comedy is going to go and what your rhythm is like. And so if you can give them that at first, it teaches them what your delivery style is like, and you're teaching them when to laugh and how to laugh and what to laugh
so
at.
so Dangerfield. I get no respect. That's basically his drunk uncle right away.
Yeah, and the thing about like Drunk Uncle is his comedy lens. Most people don't tell you what their comedy lens is. They show it to you. You don't go out there and say, I'm the adventurous economist. You go out there and do some adventurous economist bits, and they get the picture of it, and they go, "Oh, this is consistent. I get it. He's a nerd that's doing cool things, in a nerdy way sometimes because he can't help it." Drunk Uncle is like he talks about all these hipster things, but he fucks it up and he bumbles it up because he's drunk, but he's opinionated, you know. And so we all know what a drunk uncle is like. And so that game is automatically announced in the beginning. So most stand-up doesn't announce the game like that, you know.
But he gets a lot of his jokes because the game's being played with the audience, and the audience is in on the.
Oh yeah. That's
So
how
it's a
that's how
different
he
level.
tells jokes. Yeah.
Okay, I got one more since it is Olympics. This is going back to the old Robin Williams on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Pull up Robin Williams and jump to 49 seconds in. 49 is going to be Robin Williams. He's going to do another perspective. He's going to cut to, and he's going to jump into the unlikely scenario.
Okay. Let's see if he's doing stand-up or if he's doing his style of comedy, which
He might be more of a Ryan Long. He jumps into the act out
right.
fast.
I find the figure skating to be kind of sexy.
Okay, so that's a good premise. I find the figure skating to be kind of sexy. So that's why he's telling us because he thinks he's turned on by figure skating.
Okay,
How
yeah.
turned on is he? How sexy is figure skating to him?
Yeah, baby. Not ice dancing, which is polka on Valium. That's not good.
It's not this contrast. This is
Metaphor.
polka on Valium. Yeah, that's a metaphor. It is polka on Valium. So that he did that side of the contrast with that. He gets a laugh from it. That's a metaphor that uses funny specifics. Polka and Valium.
But there's that pairs figure skating, and there's that one very special lift where the male figure skater goes, "Hoo!" Right here.
Okay, so he's talking about the other contrast, which is big couples figure skating, and he's talking about the one move where the male goes, "Oof."
Yeah, and lifts her up from her crotch with one
Yeah.
hand is what he's emphasizing with the, yeah.
Or even a gynecologist would go, "Put on a glove, man."
How,
Is that a different perspective?
How rude is that? How rude is that? It's so rude that if a gynecologist was doing it, he'd say, "Put on a glove."
What's the humor tool there? Is it different perspective?
Yeah, it's yeah, there's a bit of a metaphor happening, I think maybe a different perspective.
Yeah, different perspectives, I was
Different
thinking.
perspective, funny specific.
And he shifts his voice too. He gets a laugh with a
Yeah.
different, it's a slightly different voice for the gynecologist.
Impersonation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?" Yes!
So now he's spinning around with the girl on his hand, saying, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?" And so that is a frog bank, which is the oppressor and is skating.
And I'm going, "Let's cut the foreplay. Let's have ice fucking. Come on." Whoa, let's go.
So that's extension. As long as we're doing this, why not that?
Yeah. Extension. I forgot about extension.
So he's doing extension. So why not? If we're doing ice fingering, why not ice fucking? And then that ice fucking is a parody. Like it's a name of ice fucking. It's a name of a fake type of sport. So he's making that up.
That's right, like ice fishing.
Yeah, it's like the Knuckle Institute from Carlin. He does the like his tongue like he's eating her out while
And now he's getting all these laughs by basically doing ice
Right.
skating on stage here.
So now he's doing a frog bank. He's doing ice skating and fucking.
Oh, yes. Oh, nipples around and
He's all over the stage,
So
just
as he's
jumping,
doing
swimming.
skating moves, but it's really fucking.
Runs with one and spins
There's a
around.
spin.
and she holds on without her hands.
And so he's getting a lot, he's getting applause because he's ended his bit of, like his fake skating, fuck skating routine. So he gets applause because I like the way he did it. I
Smokes a
smoking a
cigarette.
cigarette, which is a recognition of what you do after you fuck.
So let's analyze his stand. Is that stand up or is that more improv?
Well, let's see how he starts it out again.
I find the figure skating to be kind of sexy. Yeah, baby, not ice dancing, which is polka on Valium. That's not good. But there's that pairs figure skating, and there's that one very special lift where the male figure skater goes, "Hoo!"
So he doesn't really misinterpret it, or he doesn't not misinterpret. He doesn't misdirect us.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what the stand up would be. It would be where he'd get a laugh at the misdirection. He immediately does a contrast, and in the contrast, he does an act out, and in the act out, he's heightening his emotions. So he's skipping the stand up part of it, which is why a lot of stand up comics don't like Robin Williams.
So for the three clips I brought, they didn't really have all the laughs were from the act out.
Yeah,
The only real kind of entry into the misdirection that was actual stand up was
yeah, doing
Colin
the
Yost.
start to drunk uncle.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing that you have to begin to realize is that if you don't have that, technically you're not doing stand up. And that's what I'm teaching my class. A lot of my class is improv people too. And so they come in and they want to jump right into the game and the act out. And it's like you have to write a joke first. And then that joke gives you permission to go into the act out. And then that act out gives you permission to play that game.
I'll go the other way. A lot of comics just do the joke and then they miss 2 minutes worth of
Yeah.
heightened transformation improv that they could add.
But that's old school stand up. That's how stand up used to be. You weren't doing all these act outs. You were doing jokes. That's basic. And it's much more complicated now. It's much more freeform now. But don't be confused. If you're not doing jokes, you're not a stand-up. You're something else. And it's fine to be something else, but you just don't confuse yourself. I had to figure that out about myself. I'm a mixture of improv and stand-up. I often hit the stand-up jokes, but I often don't. Sometimes I go right into my bed is seducing me, and that's like drunk uncle.
This is very helpful.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think the more we do this, the more people are going to get the fact that this stand-up is a game. The stand-up is a repeated game. Premise, setup, punchline, and then it's in the setup, you're doing a misdirection. I'm going to talk about something normal. And then you hit them with a surprise. And then that surprise, you can heighten it and you can act it out and you can take it deeper. But you got to have that first, you got to misdirect and you got to trick them first. And that trick is part of the stand-up. And that's what a lot of these classic stand-ups are looking for when they're looking at the new guys. They're looking, does this new guy get the game? Or is he taking shortcuts?
It sounds like though, if you have a really good minute act out, you should go back and do the exercise of how do I get it? How do I use a stand-up setup to get into the act out?
Yeah.
To kind of round out the bit. And then if you're a comic who just has jokes, how do you blow up that world and maybe go into a cut to or an act out or heighten it going the other way?
Exactly. Because you have a more meat on the bone and you're not taking advantage of all that meat.
I also took from our hour today is basically when you're looking for things throughout the day, look for the ones that have emotion to it, and then start to pick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do simile tonight, and I'm going to work on a bit I'm working on, and I'm just going to do 5 similes, and then I'm going to try to do an act out of all those 5 similes to see where it goes as a writing exercise tonight.
But good, yeah. And I would I like that you're doing 5 similes so that you get good at doing a simile. Like that is a practice at creating similes. I would equally encourage you to do that with other heightening devices and get good at a half a dozen of them or 10 of them out of 36. Start to really get to be expert at the ones that really appeal to you, and begin to use them with other, like don't just do a simile that has a contrast in it, or do a simile that has sarcasm in it. Sometimes you can't help it.
That is super. This is really eye-opening to me. Just the demarcation between what is stand-up and what is an act out has really solidified in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't put my finger on what Ryan Long was doing or what sometimes
Yeah.
Robin Williams was doing, but he was getting a ton of laughs.
And that's the thing is, by identifying it and differentiating it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean that what they're doing is not a good thing, or what they're doing is a cheap or a cheat code or whatever. It's equally hard to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's well, I don't know if it's equally hard, but it's equally challenging. And it's just not like stand up is a thing. Stand up is a premise, setup, punchline trick that we're doing over and over again. And you can make that trick fancy, but that's what it is. And if you're not doing that trick, people notice. They go, you're not doing that thing that we're all learned how to do. And there's different ways to do the trick. And that's the thing is it could be frustrating for someone that takes the time to do premise, setup, punchline, and involve yourself in the traditional trick of stand up, that misdirection. It can be frustrating to them to watch somebody go up there and cut in line almost and get those big laughs because they cut right to the funny part.
Oh, this will be another good episode.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. The idea that the difference between like having that stand-up comedy in there is, I like that that's what we sort of decided out of this episode.
And it's a good takeaway. It's even for first year comic to understand the difference between when you're in the act out and when you're in the setup.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good job.
Be in touch. Yeah,
Sounds
that was
good.
fun.
Yeah. Take care.